Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It is me, Mike Lepre, King Michael. This is legit paranormal from legitpodcast.com. I don't know why I've always whispered paranormal, like sadly getting that key. It is Sunday, November 26, 2023. That is 11262023 with Math Geeks. Let's do this one. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Plus 2 is 5. And then let's do God damn it, I'm gonna screw it up. 2 times 0 is 0. Plus 2 plus 3 is 5. That's the best I can get for any math geek out there. Joining me, Sin Schrader Hill. Author.
Hey.
How are we, Sin?
Great, and you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Doing great.
Great.
Oh. Since I've last been on like live, Maronda me. Yeah, I've been great. Oh yeah, lots of things. Good things. No. The Christmas book is I made a kid laugh. Score. You know what I mean? Like scores. You write Christmas stories. That's basically all you're hoping for. You know what I'm saying? Basically. Joining us, Sarah Paranormal. What's up, Sarah?
Hey weirdos, how's it going?
Great.
I just explained it. It's been one of those.
Yeah.
Something like it's just like you gotta just ride the wave. Sometimes it's a wave of like poop. Sometimes it's a wave of like lava. Whatever it is, ride it. Guys,
Every time I talk to you now, there's something about poop.
Why? Yeah, why?
Yeah, Sin, you watched Is It Legit, right?
Yeah, and it was all about poop.
It was all about poop.
I know what you're talking about. But
Why, Mike?
I really no, I'm being honest. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But so now witches, witch. So that term, right? The word first. Let me stop with this. Has become very different. Very it's used in very different ways. Does that make sense? Like before, I could tell you what a witch was when I was a little kid. I would point to the Wizard of Oz, and I'd be like this, ready to leave the table, because you know what I mean. That's all I thought. But now it's from what's haunting and a real to someone who's. Sarah, could you explain that for me really quick? I mean, serious, just a quick one.
A quick explanation of the history of witchcraft.
No. Why it's become such a word that can be so many different things now?
I think what you're referring to is like when we talk about things like the Bell Witch, which our guest is going to talk about, we're really talking about labels that were put on women that were imposed. Like they didn't choose to call themselves witches. Now we have so many people choosing to call themselves witches, and it's a huge community. There's so many differences that it ends up being like all sorts of things, witches that believe in pagan gods, witches that just like do kitchen herbs. It's everything.
I know. I get it.
What you asked for?
I know. I totally get it. I listen to rap music. It's like the B word. Same thing that rhymes with the witches.
Yeah.
People call themselves that all the time.
Yeah.
Sim, would you like to do the introduction of the guest?
I would love to. So tonight we are fortunate enough to have not only a storyteller from across the U.S., he has been a paranormal investigator for decades. He has books, a lot of them. Legends. A lot of them are legends and lore of the American South. He has picked the Bell Witch as his pet case of the last 45 years that he has worked on and researched. He's got TV credits. He's a pilot. He's a guitar player. He's a ham radio operator. He is from Nashville. I was lucky enough to be sitting at the table next to his at the Tennessee Haunts and Legends Expo in Nashville. I met him through our mutual friend, Eric Freeman Sims of the Unseen Paranormal. Please welcome Pat Fitzhugh.
What's up, Pat?
Hey, good evening. How's it going?
We're going pretty good, I think. Whole, I don't. We're gonna find out. We'll see. We'll see as it goes on. We'll figure out. We'll form. We'll glue. We will glue. Pat. You know what I noticed too? That Sin said this, and it just goes right by. But American South. I'm up here in Rhode Island, the little state stuck between New York and Boston. And when we hear American South, we think like, why do you add that? We don't get that. Like that's weird to us. But American South, I get it. I'm down. I've been down there, and I understand. Pat, the guitar playing. Let me start with that for a second. Do you write your own music? And I'm being serious. I want to ask this for a question. A second. Do you write your own music all the time, or do you focus more on like covers, notes, learning like stuff like that?
I'm an original all the way. I don't usually play cover tunes unless I'm in a situation where I have to, like, for example, somebody's doing a gig and it's a cover band, or somebody, is in the studio doing a demo and they are demoing with a cover tune. But I usually do my own material. I'm not really a lyricist because I'm not a singer, but I write musical things all the time. I did put together a song. I collaborated with a guy named Mike Richards, who is a world-renowned songwriter and musician in the bluegrass and gospel arena. And this song we collaborated on was actually about the Bell Witch. It was called the Bell Witch, Let the Game Begin.
Bell Witch, Let the Game Begin. Sarah, did you know they had a song?
I did not. It wasn't the themes. It wasn't the theme song on the show, The Curse of the Bell Witch, was it? That they used on that show? I don't think so.
It should have been, but it was not.
Oh, okay.
The Cursed Bell Witch show predated the Bell Witch Let the Game Begin by about 5 years. We released that, or actually we'd worked on it for about a year or two, but we finally did all the mixing and mastering and everything, got that sorted out near the end of the pandemic in 2020. So it was a little late to be in the Cursed show.
Yep. Can't rush it. I was in a band, and there's some people that can go in. Well, all right. So some people that go in, they do one try, and that's good. And then there's some people that will do like 400 tries, and that's still not good. So you gotta, like, when you're writing with other people, you got to deal with all that kind of stuff. So that means you're patient. I can tell you that much right now. A little bit, right? You wrote a song with a bunch of other people.
Yeah, writing and collaborating with somebody, you've got to take your time and everything to get it right. Now, if it's something that's already been written by you or by someone else, and you're just, being a hired gun to come into the studio to lay a few tracks, you're generally expected to get it on about the first or second take.
Yeah. See, now, what he means by hired gun, guys, in this case, is this. So I was in a band for a long time, but I'm not a hired gun. No one would ever hire me to come in and do something that was going to be clean, one time, correct, and just fill the track with something that's good. Does that make sense? That's what I mean. That's serious too. That's what hired gun is. Like, I have friends from my band that are hired guns. Like, the drummer can go do anything. But yeah, certain people are hired guns as well.
Right. Yeah. Here in Nashville, we refer to a hired gun as a studio musician who comes in and is basically given a list or given a chart, a numbers chart, say play this or solo over these two bars, and then at that point they go in and play it and then leave, go to the next studio.
We had a term for that. It was a don't ask. If you ever asked about another musician, like in the Northeast, and someone ever said to you, "Don't ask," that literally meant like he's good, like he's good, and he just was whoever that person was. But yeah, that's pretty cool. That's that makes it fun, right? Not only the story itself, but you get to bring the music into it.
Yeah, exactly. Over the years, I've had a lot of people ask me, why didn't I write or create a song about the Bell Witch? And I really never really thought much of anything about it. And then Mike got to talking to me about it, and looking at his background and credentials as well as his love for Tennessee folklore and the story, then I took it a little more serious. So we sat down and penned that out. I wrote the music, the verses, and Mike wrote the chorus, and he also played on the recording. He played the mandolin and some of the rhythm guitar.
Anytime you throw in a mandolin, that's like too many instruments for what I would be doing. Like I'd be like a mandolin, but it sounds like when it comes to I like Billy Joe Shavers. I'm a big fan of his. Right, that's my kind of country. Like I like that kind of that sound. So obviously that would sound well in that style of music. Again, I feel
Yeah,
like I come from a different country. Seriously, sometimes, no joke. Being up here in the Northeast, now that everybody is more in different parts of the country, before everybody else was kind of near me, I feel like I'm in a different country because the Northeast, we're whacked. Like we don't do anything correctly. We're not nice people. It's just like,
It's true.
I
You're
guess it's
not.
true. I
You're
guess
not
it's
nice.
I guess
Sometimes
it's
it's a different planet.
Well,
I just
I am a northeasterner moved south, so I get that. Like it's different, but I don't think that Southerners are actually nicer.
no. Well,
I
I
think it was
learned that too. Oh, they hide it better in what they
Yes.
say. They have their own
Yes.
phrases that are just pretty much going F you without saying it, and they get away with it. And Sin,
Yeah.
go ahead, Sin.
Bless your heart.
There you go. That's what I gotta
There
say.
you
That's
go.
what I gotta say, and you're good. All right, Pat. So I started to learn about the Bell Witch, and then I said, you know what? No, I don't want to. Let me ask Pat about it. Uh, People are gonna want to hear. How do I get this? You remember when they used to make those? What was the condensed versions of books, and they would sell them?
The
and you
Cliff
go,
Notes?
Bang, Pat. If you could cliff note us a little bit, because I don't want to rush you, for any time limit. So if you could just start to kind of like give an explanation, right? I would just at the beginning. I'd appreciate that.
okay, just an extremely short version. The last time I told an extremely short version, it took about 3.5 hours because it's such a large, complex case. But I will
I
just
get that.
say it is the legend of a family on Tennessee's early frontier that was victimized by a 4-year series of disturbances at the hands of an entity unknown but very malevolent.
That was good.
So it it was an attacking. It was something that was attacking. I speak for the dumb. I just want to give you a heads up. DUMM. Keep it on this level. That's what we're basically saying.
Well, it was definitely an attacking type entity, but it attacked it different ways at different points along the timeline of the disturbances. The attacks, or the most profound attacks, were, of course, violent attacks against some of the Bell's children, and later on down the timeline, the father of the family, John Bell, who is said to be the only man in history whose death was attributed to the workings of a paranormal or supernatural entity. But there was a lot of attacking going on with the kids, physically attacking, hitting, slapping. They would find welts on their faces, bruises on their bodies, as well as a lot of attacks on the minds, or the mental type attacks of people in the family. For example, this thing would seem to be very nice and benevolent towards Mrs. Lucy Bell, the mother of the family, but at the same time force her to endure watching her children and husband getting beat mercilessly. So
Wait,
it
wait,
was
wait. Hold
all
up.
about attack.
Wait, hold up. Forced her. Meaning what? She could not move while they got beat up in front of her? Or, and I mean that serious. What does that mean? Is that what that means?
Well, it meant that they lived in the same house, and in the same house where this disembodied voice would sing hymns to Mrs. Bell and talk about what a wonderful person she was. In that same house, right there in front of Mrs. Bell, this thing would slap the children and later on kick around and beat on her husband, with her there to watch it, and there's nothing she could do about it.
So she couldn't see anything, but she knew that they were getting whacked and hit.
Correct. She could not. She could not see the force, but she could hear the disembodied voice occasionally, and as well as see the reactions of the children and the husband when they were hit by this unseen force.
Good message you had, Sarah. Question.
I do have a question. So the legend is that this all started with a dispute that Mr. Bell had with a woman named Kate, who was later labeled a witch. And it was said that she cursed the Bell family. So my first question to you is, in this instance, what do we consider a curse to be? Do you think it was actually something supernatural that someone imposed? Or is the legend called a curse because it's sort of that if you believe you are cursed, then you are cursed, sort of self-manifesting prophecy type thing?
Okay, well, got kind of a multifaceted answer to that question. First of all, Kate Batts, according to historical research and actual research in the case, had nothing at all to do with the Bell Witch case, other than the fact that she was a neighbor who lived down the road that a lot of the people in the community looked down on, which made her a perfect scapegoat. As far as a curse, I have not in all these years found anything in the way of a curse associated with the Bell Witch legend. Although a lot of times, new books coming out or movies or shows, as a selling point, will try to increase the thrill factor or the excitement factor, aka the money factor, by calling it a curse, calling it demonics, and calling it a whole lot of things. But over the years, a lot of people have assumed this, assumed that, put two and two together, and said that they were cursed. Either the person who was talking, or they were saying that the bells were cursed. But personally,
Right.
I didn't see anything in the way of any curses.
So what would you consider a curse then? If when you're a paranormal investigator as well, is a curse, do you think a curse is an actual thing, or do you think people just have bad luck when they believe they are cursed?
I think the majority of what is referred to in modern day times as curses is a case of people attributing bad luck to something, or making what we in the research field called a hasty generalization. For example, there's one curse, Bell Witch curse, that says that the firstborn male family member of each generation of John Bell's descendants will die.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
Well, that's a pretty hasty generalization because everybody dies at some point. So of course the first male dies, and then later on the rest of the people die. Death is a natural occurrence. But at first listen, people will hear that and say, "Oh my goodness, so and so is the firstborn male of such and such Bell family line. They're going to die." But everybody dies unless they believe in reincarnation.
Well, as I like to say, I'm immortal so far. But I got to ask this because I go crazy. This is what I do. This is what I do. But is somebody snoring in one of your rooms? Does anybody have somebody snoring? Please tell me.
There is
I don't-
some
Nope.
there is some background noise, and unfortunately, there's not a thing I'm able to do about it.
Oh, that's okay.
No,
Okay.
that's fine.
That's
It's gonna
fine. No,
bother
no. Again, I'm like, am I? Because that happens, and when that starts to happen, I'm getting old, breaking down. I'm starting to hear stuff. I want to make sure I'm hearing what everyone else is hearing, just so I know what's going on and I'm caught up in all this. You know what I'm saying?
I thought
Oh
maybe
yeah, I have done interviews and certain other things like recorded things here at home, and there will be things on the recording that were not actually present, or at least not that I was cognizant of at the time of recording. So yeah, some things can definitely creep in. It's not just a case of EVP at paranormal locations, but right here at my own location, which who knows may be paranormal in and of itself.
So, are you the paranormal battery that's causing stuff, or are you just going to places that are more paranormal battery themselves, if I can use those words?
No, you made
Doesn't
those
matter.
up.
I just did.
Okay, then.
Okay, I don't think I understood the question. Did you say paranormal battery?
Yeah, in other words, activity comes to you.
Ramps up.
You're the one that's the battery of it. You're the energy source that it's attracted to. Sometimes you go to places where they get so much there that people are attracted to them. So I'm trying to figure out your position is in all this. You sound more like a battery.
Well, there have been times where I've gone to locations and the paranormal activity and the targeting has eluded me altogether. There are other times where it seemed like I was the center of attention. Typically, with the investigations, I make an effort like everybody else does, but, you know, and more times than just a few, I've seen one or two persons at an investigation be more of what I would say the center of attention and activity.
Mhm.
But there have been times when it seems like I was the only one there, even though there were like maybe 10 or 15 of us.
Right.
So in a room full of only ones, you still come out as only one.
In some cases.
All right.
All right. Like I understood you.
No, I get no. That makes sense to me. Okay. All right.
Okay, I don't know.
Sin question.
So the haunting didn't start right away when they moved from the Carolinas. It waited about 10 years, right? And then it ramped up. So after it was happening and then John Bell got sick and died, did they stay there or did they move away, or some stayed and some left?
Ultimately, some stayed and some left, but in the years immediately following John Bell's death, they all stayed right there in the area. In fact, the farm was subdivided after his wife Lucy died, and some of the family members took some of that land, and there were some others who had moved to the state of Mississippi, which has its own version of the legend.
And when did this
Really?
happen? Because splitting up land amongst family, never good. Never good when a family has to split up like the yard. You know what I'm saying? So what year was
Yeah,
that when we split it up?
uh, John Bell died in 1820. Lucy Bell died in 1839,
So
or 1837 to 1839 time period.
I'm sorry. I got a monster that lives with me and won't shut up.
I actually thought that it was Kobe snoring, to be honest with you. Like this whole time
No,
I didn't say anything.
no, Pat, I got a big stupid dog. He's just really too big and really too stupid. But he's a good guy. I like him. But so all right, Sin, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So after they both died, John and Lucy, where did Betsy stay there or did she leave?
Betsy stayed there and in 1824 married her school teacher, which some suspected as being behind the disturbances. And she remained in the area up until about the early 1870s when her health began to fail in a very major way. And she moved to Mississippi so that her then grown daughter could help take care of her. And she settled near Water Valley, Mississippi.
Is that where the problem with the finding the grave happened? There was some mix up as to where you could actually go to find her gravestone. Is that why she moved to Mississippi?
Okay, find whose gravestone? Betsy?
I guess I was thinking there was a problem finding one of the family members for a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not all of the family members' graves are marked, and there's a lot of guesswork, like with Jesse Bell, who had moved to Mississippi, but went on a trip back to Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and died in the process. So we don't know whether he was buried in Mississippi or buried in the Bell graveyard outside of Adams.
All right.
Betsy Bell's husband, Richard Powell, he was a state legislator and a whole lot of other things, and very well known in the community, everything. But his grave is unmarked as far as we know. Nobody's ever been able to find that. Betsy was buried down there in Mississippi. She died in July of 1888 at age 82.
Okay.
Can we
Now,
wait? Can we go back 1 second, Mike, please? I want to know. I want to know about the school teacher because we just glossed right over that. The fact that you said, and I saw your face too, Stan. That school that some thought that the man she married, her former teacher, of him, Mike, was
wait, but
behind. Was he? They thought he was behind the disturbances.
wait, but
But
wait.
wait, there's more.
No, I wanted to go in the Wayback Machine because my reaction now is, what did this witch do, or what was this witch's problem? Like, what was this witch's issue? You know what I mean? Like, what was the problem that she had? Like, why was she? Bring me back to that, because I still don't even get why there's a witch there. Okay, why is it there? What's its issue? Let's still. Maybe I'm thinking like a homeowner. I don't know.
I think it was
Well, there are a lot of schools of thought on that. Personally, I don't think it had anything to do with witchcraft, but I think it had everything to do with it being at the buckle of the Bible Belt 120 years after the Salem witch trials, and a
Mhm.
period in time when people encountered anything that seemed malevolent or bad and which they couldn't explain, they would automatically attribute it to witchcraft and call it a witch. Kind of like when, I mean, this thing was known as a visitor and an entity. And according to the legend, the first person who called it a witch was future President Andrew Jackson when he called it the Old Bell's Witch. So, I'm not convinced there was anybody practicing witchcraft or anything like that. There could have been in the area, but, I haven't seen any direct ties of that to the case. And I know, a lot of people go back to this Kate Batts woman that was identified in a fictional novel many years ago as being accused of being the Bell Witch entity,
Mm-hmm.
and that she had come back from the dead to curse John Bell and his family, and that was a Bell Witch.
Mm-hmm.
But, a little bit of research found that she actually outlived John Bell by 23 years. So she
oh wow.
couldn't have come back from the dead to haunt him. It's just amazing what a little research will do. And, a lot of things it'll rule out. But as far as, like a witch, like somebody practicing a black magic type of witchcraft, or, something along that line, and had a vendetta against the Bell family or John Bell, I haven't been able to find anything like that, or at least not be able to prove it. Um,
Mhm.
John Bell was not perfect, even though he was well thought of in the community. He was also a hardcore businessman, and he had a bad business dealing with someone that ultimately resulted in his being excommunicated from or kicked out of his church, of which he was an elder, and also had a property line dispute with an adjoining landowner by the name of Fort, and then had a medical bill dispute with another guy. So, I mean, I'm sure there were a few people here and there, that didn't think the world of John Bell. But in general, he had a good reputation, and I don't know if anybody would have such a vendetta, that they would want him killed.
Pat, hold on 1 second. Just really quick, I want to say hiharvest.net, hiharvest.net. Please hit the like, subscribe button if you're watching. I never never say it, so I'm saying it now. Please do that. Legit podcast, DOTCOM. Spell it out at all social media. Check out our YouTube trailer for 1124. What we have coming. That's the plug time. All right. So what I would want to ask you, honestly, though, Pat, is what do you think is there? Like, what do you think is causing all this? Is it something that's demonic that you think is just there, or do you think this is something that's went from heads to heads to heads? I mean, seriously, what do you think?
Who, Mike?
Well,
Pat. Nobody else but Pat. Just Pat on this one.
Gotcha.
Well, I think a lot of the Bell Witch legend as we know it today is the result of it being told over and over and embellished a whole lot. It's much bigger now than I think what it really was back then. Not only in terms of people knowing about it, but also in terms of the different antics displayed by the entity, as well as the intent and actually intensity of those antics. Anything, a number of things could have been in force at that time. There was also great fear and misunderstanding in that area at the time. The fear stemmed from the New Madrid series of earthquakes that hit just a few years before, which were very well felt in Robertson County, Tennessee. And there was also a lot of turmoil going on in the church. This was at the time where you had the Baptist church versus the primitive Baptist, and the doctrines of Arminianism versus Calvinism being discussed and argued, and some people questioning their own faith.
Basically, right? Whole bunch of isms.
I'm sorry.
I said there's a whole bunch of isms getting at it.
A whole lot of isms, a whole lot of people questioning their own faith, a lot of people having to make some very difficult decisions. A major earthquake that shook everything, and many people felt that it was a message from the Almighty that they needed to live better, or something along those lines. So we've got an awful lot of mass hysteria going on, and then we have these Bell Witch disturbances going on, which are amplified. So
Pat, one second, Pat, hold on. You just hit something. Something that makes people think that it was a God experience where it changes their lives. Like, there's a pro and there's a con for that. Honestly, sometimes people think they see God and they change their lives and they get on a good track and they're healthier or whatever, they live life better and they enjoy themselves more. Sometimes it's the opposite way. But like, Sarah, do you understand what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying. I do. Right? Yeah.
And you believe in that? Like, there's just two different.
Yeah. So you're saying if you have a life-changing experience, you're attributing it to God, good or bad. Yeah. Anybody can choose to do whatever they want with any given sign they believe they're receiving from whoever they believe they're receiving it from at any time.
You say it. You say it though so scientifically. Like an atheist, because there's no feeling what you just said. I can hear it. My Italianness can go, oh, I can hear what you just said. And they're a little, you're like, whatever they believe in. It's like, I reached a point where it's like, sin, what do you think? Whatever someone believes in, if they really believe in it, good luck in like trying to change your mind. Just,
but no one needs to change anyone's mind. I think.
Did I say that?
No, I'm just saying, I think what we believe in, it has power over us.
I agree. But Sin, do you understand what I was saying?
As I got lost between
By the way, Pat, my favorite thing on the show is that if I talk enough and pass it around enough, and I go back to Sin, right? I know she will not remember what I just said.
Yeah, it just gets too much, and I just block it.
If I have to pick one to end it with, she's always the perfect, like, pass around. Let me just drop it to Sin, and I'd be like, and sometimes, you know what? I don't even remember what I just said, but what I just told her, Pat, was, "What do you think of that, Sin?" And then I know, like, we both don't remember. Good luck. So she's gonna
That's
fire
hilarious.
back at something with me, and I'm like, I take it here. Sarah, another question.
Okay, let me gather myself after all of that. So I still want to go back to the school teacher.
Yeah, we didn't go to the school teacher.
Oh yeah,
No,
let's go back to that.
Mike stole my thunder.
Steal my sunshine.
So
Yeah.
what
We could
do
do
with that?
the school teacher. I wanted to finish. I wanted to finish addressing that first question first. As far as forces going on that could be conducive to such disturbances or a haunting back then, that was a major area of Native American activity. They used it for hunting, but in earlier cultures, such as the Mississippian, or actually before the Mississippian and on back into the mound building cultures, they buried their dead right there on the Bell property, around the cave, around where the house was built, all over the property. Native American artifacts and graves have been found. And there are a lot of Native American theories to the effect that the Bells, or perhaps somebody that was there before them, did something to open up a gateway or a portal for the other side to come in, such as, violating sacred ground, for example. Nobody's actually been able to prove that that really did happen, but it has always been a popular theory. And if you look at some of the early stories from the Bell Witch case, you see where there are different animals and things appearing and sometimes being a little bit on the malevolent or suspicious side. And that goes along with what we would call today as a shapeshifter. But in Native American culture, it goes along with the Native American spirit called trickster, not the band Trickster, but just the spirit trickster. So, you have that was at force from, the paranormal side of it. And with the beliefs, people thinking something was an act from God or an act from somewhere else or wherever. What I found in this, and it was probably the hardest thing I've ever found out in my research, but it applies to many situations, is that beliefs are the cornerstone for perspective, that they build and formulate how a person perceives things. And a person's perspective or perception is their reality. So once that's why you've got 10 million people believing 10 million different things about the Bell Witch legend.
Mhm.
You know,
Well,
I met one
so I
guy one
think
time. He says he knows it's true because the thing turned a man into a rabbit.
so.
That's
I
his
think what your location
belief and his
has, right,
perception.
Pat? What that location has, and
I'm
I'm
sorry, I
sorry,
couldn't.
I interrupt is what I do. What that location has is, one, there is some sort of energy, kind of like where the Conjuring House is, right? Like there's just something there in that area. Like I'm just comparing these two, right? There's
And
definitely
there still is.
something there, right? Okay, yeah, it still is, but which might be a gateway, which is scary as all, you know, but also has that people came in and learned about it and then decided to go teach about it. It's that weird moment in something where people that were like really big fans of it are now like acting as if they know about what's going on, and it changes the story and it can be bigger than it is. I mean, The Conjuring it had become like literally a movie multiverse, right? It's like eight. How many movies are they deep in that? So
Yeah,
it's
I know.
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. You get what I'm saying though, Pat?
Yeah. It just gets bigger and bigger, and new versions come out each day, and it seems like everybody's writing a book about the Bell Witch. Everybody's writing a movie about the Bell Witch, and it's just and as long as people believe that stuff, then that stuff becomes the case, whether there's actually any documentation or not. But I mean, there's already enough documentation out there from back then to know that there was some force or something going on back then. And like I say, the Native American theory is a big one. There are also people who who look at human theories, and who could have been behind this. And I know Sarah Paranormal had a question about the school teacher, and
What a segue.
the way
Good.
the school teacher, I think that's probably, it's not the most important Bell Witch theory to solving it. There is, but it's probably the second most. Not that there's any truth to that theory, it hasn't been proven just yet. But the school teacher, Professor Richard Powell, a lot has been written about him, and there's quite a bit known about him. He came from North Carolina in the early 1800s. He settled in Nashville. He got married. Then, for whatever reason, he separated from his wife. He moved out to Red River, about 50 miles northwest, began teaching school, and that's where the Bell family lived, at the Red River settlement. He became Betsy Bell's school teacher. And it is said that many times when she was a little girl, he would come to the Bell home and tell her parents and siblings about what a beautiful, pretty girl she is and how she's going to turn out to be a very beautiful woman one day.
Mm.
And it was rumored that at school she was the teacher's pet.
Of course she was.
And,
That she was.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and people, you know, people in the Red River community, I mean, this school teacher was young, but he was still like 11 years older than she was. And, you know, he was making comments about her when she was barely 11 years old, you know, that people thought were inappropriate or maybe just a little over the line, over the line, which was not cool.
See
And,
what this is. I'm sorry,
at
Rob.
some
Rob Pat. I'm sorry, Pat. This is one of those horrific moments. Like, I was at church and I saw my priest pull up in his Corvette, and he got out of the car with the undone, the collar undone. Yeah, I've seen that in my lifetime. Like yeah, that happened in my church. I ain't saying names, but like that's like a moment changing like thing. Like and you don't take control of power like that. Like that school teacher now I want to beat up, but I don't know who he is. But so continue. Sorry.
Okay, so Professor Powell also had a very good reputation in the community. They say he was one of these guys who you only had to meet and talk to for 5 minutes, and you were comfortable with telling your life story to him. And as a result, he knew everything that went on in that Red River settlement. He knew everybody. He knew everybody's business. He knew everything. And over time, his fondness for Betsy Bell grew as she grew older. And at one point, of course, 1817, the Bell Witch disturbances began there. And he was her school teacher at the time. And she had also become romantically interested in a boy named Joshua Gardner who lived nearby. And of course, in the Bell Witch legend, the disembodied voice told her on many occasions not to marry Joshua. And looking at some very old accounts of the legend, also the school teacher, Powell, did not like Joshua and often encouraged, or sometimes encouraged Betsy not to marry Joshua, you know, like he was totally against it. And then, of course, back to the whole wife deal. His wife that he had split up from, that was almost unheard of back in those days. I mean, you were married for the long run. He split up from her, but he was not divorced. So he was a married man, but presented himself to the Red River community as a single, good-looking young bachelor. And,
Wow.
You know, the theory here that so many people have had was that he had such an education that some say would have been the average of a genius nowadays, that he could pull off just about anything, especially knowing everybody's business and being friends with everybody, and that he wanted Betsy for himself to marry her.
So
and that
Pat,
he pulled off the whole thing.
So Pat, right?
Yeah.
Pat, I'm immediately thinking, my first thought, and I know this is wrong, and this isn't what I mean in real life, but what I thought was, well, you just kill her. Right? Just kill her.
Just do what?
Kill her.
Betsy?
The wife he's trying to get rid of.
Oh,
My first thought was, why not just kill her?
Yeah.
That's not the right thought, but hey, guys,
Yeah, I'm
telling
getting.
you.
I'm sure that happened back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm getting to that point. I'll be to that point here in just a minute. So
All right.
people
See,
thought that
I'm just saying that was what I thought. But that's my head how it works. I'm like, just whack her.
Jeez.
you're talking
Get out of
about
the picture.
killing the wife.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So Betsy didn't really take too kindly to Professor Powell's advances at first, but he was very persistent. Some people think that he was behind everything to wear the Bell family out mentally and scare them to death, um, using this thing as a mouthpiece to say a bunch of things about civilizations and other things, and to discourage Betsy from marrying Joshua, and ultimately to kill the man who got in the way of it all, which would be John Bell. Now, according to an early, very fictional account of the legend, this thing actually killed John Bell by poisoning. Some say arsenic over a long period of time, some say other things. But in terms of actual proof and reality, there's no proof whatsoever that anything killed him. But we do know he lived almost 30 years beyond his life expectancy. So, me personally, unless I see proof of poison, I think he died of old age. But at any rate, the legend says this thing killed John Bell. So there are people out there, that think maybe Powell did do something to John Bell and other things just to get Betsy. And that's a theory that I still have in my mind, even though I have a much better one that I'm working on that I can actually prove. But, the Richard Powell involvement can't be denied.
Richard
So
Powell.
John Bell died in 1820. Richard Powell, Professor Richard Powell. So Mr. Bell died in
He Scooby
Do
Dooed
what?
them. He Scooby Dooed them, is what you're saying. Mike, do you understand what
That
I
is
mean
a
by he
theory.
Scooby Dooed them?
Right. That
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the theories. That is one of the theories. So Mr. Bell died in 1820, allegedly at the hands of this thing. Then Richard Powell tried to court Betsy Bell, but to no avail. And meanwhile, Richard Powell's estranged wife, who lived, I believe, in Dixon County by that time, Dixon County, Tennessee, conveniently died. And then Richard Powell's brother, Matthew, and Richard administered her estate. So, yeah, she conveniently died after John Bell died. The wife did, the
Huh.
estranged wife.
They
So,
always
so
outlive
that's,
us. Sorry,
mm,
it's just
yeah,
true. They
it's,
outlive us. They outlive us. They do. Women, the wives outlive the men. They just do. I'm sorry.
yeah, women have it used to be quite a bit longer life expectancy than men did. I don't know what it is now, but maybe
Yeah,
not
you
when
know,
they're married to Richard.
We'd live a hell of a lot longer if there were no men. I'll tell you guys that much.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. Who would do
It's
math?
correct.
Let me explain something
Do
about
math?
the
Do
comments.
math?
I didn't say that. Did I say that out loud? I didn't say that. That wasn't me that said that. I did say that. Uh,
Jeez.
Virgil, if you got to write a paragraph, please don't write a paragraph. That's my advice moving forward. If you feel like you got to type a paragraph in the comment section, my response is don't write a paragraph. I can't read a paragraph. No more paragraph.
I can't. I logged into the wrong StreamYard, so I can't actually help with the comments at all right now. Sorry, Mike.
No, it's just I'm with them. I'm reading what you're writing, but don't write I'm doing something.
So
Write a
can't
paragraph.
see them.
What am I gonna do here? Sarah, I'm back to you for another question. I want you to see if you can go somewhere else or see if he wants to continue. I'm going to let you see which way you want to be, nice or not nice. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's the notes I've been writing. Wow, you guys won't be able to see this. It says, do you see that?
It's
It says-
patriarchy.
And then it says F men because Stan's laughing already. Because it feels like so we've got a witch and a curse, none of which is provable or that it necessarily ever happened. And while we can talk about the actual paranormal story, I find the story interesting of our history that just anything bad or unexplained that happened was always blamed on some poor woman just because she wasn't like everybody else or that she was different in some way. No raising your hand, put your hand down. And
I can answer for that. And tell you why. Tell you
years
why.
later, the Bell Witch
Wanna know?
curse, there was no Bell Witch necessarily, and there was no curse. And this
You don't want to know
when
why?
the president said the Bell's witch, he could have just meant that old lady, old hag. So we've just been using witch to describe ugly, old,
Listen,
hopeless, mentally ill, or different women.
here's what I don't get. Why do you guys not understand that we agree with you as men? We know that throughout history, a woman has always been like the
Scapegoat?
downfall of everything, the scapegoat of everything. You tell us that as if we're gonna go like, oh my God, we should do something about it. You tell that and we all go, yeah, it's true.
Because
You're screwed on that one. Yeah.
why
What
do
you want from me?
why do women still because nothing's changed. We just have different names for it now.
They're not like these stories. They're definitely not like these stories. Every one of these stories, something happened. They just got a woman and was like, "You're going to be the downfall." Like that's.
I think
it's a little bit different now. A little bit different now.
I don't think so. I don't think it's that
Really?
different. Yeah, I think it's just a little bit more subtle, and it's just a rose by another name at this point.
Is your floor dirt?
Is my floor dirt?
Is your
floor not dirt?
then really you're good on the conversation. Like it's not even comparable. Sin, what would you like to ask? Because this is getting good.
You guys, stop it. Just stop it. So, Pat, when a haunting like this and so many others become so much bigger because of the urban legend attached to everything, you know how it just takes on a life of its own. What are some of the most outlandish things that you have heard in these last 45 years of what this could or should have been, or something that happened, even one of the events?
I think probably the most outlandish event that I've ever heard about it was where the entity allegedly turned a man into a mule, jumped on his back, and said that it was going to ride him to hell for breakfast. That was one of the early stories.
Wow.
It was in a fictionalized book, but that was a really outlandish thing.
Jumped on someone and turned him into a jackass. A jackass.
Yeah,
And
they
said
did
that you
something.
would ride him to
It did
hell.
Ride
something.
into hell for breakfast. That's a great
Yeah, for
line.
breakfast.
I'm gonna ride you to hell for breakfast.
And
I
then
don't know why.
And then there was also the same person was later. No, wait, he wasn't turned into a rabbit, but he saw a rabbit the size of a man. You know, a human-sized rabbit.
Easter Bunny.
And as far as outlandish explanations, I've heard everything in the world, and I continue to hear everything from supposedly John abusing his daughter, and I know a lot of people have cashed in money wise trying to slander John Bell and everything. But something I think that's just maybe not quite as outlandish as that is when I once got a letter from somebody, this was probably 25, 30 years ago, saying that they knew the actual secret to the Bell Witch. Well, I get letters from people telling me that the secret of the Bell Witch all the time, and they're all different. But, this person said they had the real secret, and they were willing to pay my travel expense to go to another state and overnight hotel expenses so I could meet the person at a quaint little restaurant for lunch so that they could tell me the real story of the Bell Witch. So I thought, what the heck? And I went ahead and took that out-of-state trip and met the person for lunch and proceeded to tell me the true story of the Bell Witch. And it was that she, who was a somewhat elderly lady, had taken her granddaughter to the local Walmart a few weeks earlier and the granddaughter was, I guess, still an infant because she had to carry the granddaughter in her car seat. So after parking the car in front of the Walmart, her local Walmart, she went to the back to get her little granddaughter out of the car seat. And when she went back there, sitting on the back seat next to the car seat was this big orange blob, and it said it was that it was the Bell Witch, and it spoke with the voice of Elvis Presley. And that was the truth of the Bell Witch, as explained by this person.
Wow. Did you at least enjoy lunch?
I was gonna say,
Wow.
did you? I was gonna ask him if he ran out of there as fast as he could. I'd be like, okay, thank you very much. I have to be going. Blessings. Bye.
I'm
Well,
confused here. I don't know if Pat believed
know-
this guy. Pat might have believed this guy. He might have
don't
been
think
telling the
Pat
truth, and I can't get past the Elvis Presley voice. That's
Out
it.
of the
That's it.
orange blob.
That's about it. So it could
Yeah.
be true, but I can't get past doing it in Elvis Presley voice. To me, it's a cut, a wrap. No, wouldn't be. Wouldn't be.
And at
Would not help.
Walmart,
Not the King.
Yeah,
At
Walmart.
Walmart. Yeah.
At Walmart, yeah.
No. I once found the baby at Walmart in Providence. That's true. It was I came around a corner, and there's just a baby in diapers in the aisle. And I'm like, whoa, there's a baby in the aisle.
I
Right?
could one up you there.
I caught 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, nothing's hurting it. I'm going to leave it there. I'm washing it. 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. A mom comes around the corner. Oh. I'm like, yeah, I just keep walking. I'm like,
Wow.
I don't need to find baby. I didn't come looking for babies. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I came looking for. I already had 2, 20 now. I don't need babies. I was trying to go get like pants. Okay. So, my bad. I digress. I'll wrap that back. So these hauntings, this portal, that's what I would want to get to the most if I could in short time. Like, it was opened up to where? Like, because here's the thing: people always drop the word portals, and then they never give any other info to what the portal is actually consisting of. What is it? A vortex? Is it going somewhere? Where is it going? Where are these people going? Do they know where they're going to? So it's like the tunnel. Where do we think that goes to?
yeah, that's a big question. I think a lot of people have the question I have too, and I hear of a portal or vortex. Where are people going to? With regards to the Bell Witch, what I seem to think is this would be more of a one way where something from somewhere else is coming into our world or our dimension more so than us going into their dimension. At least that's what it seemed like. It's like, if you want to put it in real Southern terms, it's like
Why not?
walking up to a house with a broomstick and hitting a big wasp nest, and all of a sudden a bunch of wasps and hornets come flying out at you. That's essentially what the portal theory is to me. Except, of course, the portal's not necessarily a wasp's nest, but it's a gateway to like another world or another dimension. And there are certain things that can also be conduits for travel, one of which is water. There are underground streams and caves in that area. There is also a river there, the Red River. So water, and especially the underground streams, like springs, like there's a Johnson Springs in the area, there's a Sturgeon Creek and other things. Those have been said by researchers for years to have been, conduits for the travel through those portals.
There's no doubt that water is a conduit for just about everything that's outside of what we know or what we think is going on. I always like to refer to it as what we think is going on. 'Cause it's kind of like you want to ask somebody, like, what do you think is going on right now? Like, where are you at? Like, there's a lot more that's happening. The hornet's nest. Basically, did people poke at it too much, or are you in fear of them poking at it too much?
Well, I think the people poked at it a lot during the legend. A lot of the stories are about people who came there to try and debunk these happenings, and they would
Mhm.
say and do things, make potions, cast spells, do everything they could to try and eradicate whatever it was that was tormenting this family. But it always seemed to backfire on them, and it only made the issue worse. It was aggravating it, whatever the force was, and perhaps even opening a portal even wider or increasing or inviting more through that portal.
Uh, um, that's so. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Um, where can they? What website do you have for people to find out more about the story, the legend, the music, everything? Where can they go to find that?
Okay, the website that I have for the Bell Witch research is www.bellwitch.org, O-R-G, and it's simply called the Bell Witch site. Surprise, surprise. Well, no surprise there. Of course, it's called the Bell Witch site at
Yeah.
bellwitch.org. And people can look at get a high level overview of the story, as well as delve down into particulars, things that I found in my research, essays about different aspects of the case. They can look at a schedule of upcoming appearances. If they want to buy books, they can do that. A whole lot of information there. And again, that's www.bellwitch.org.
Do you do other music, SoundCloud stuff like that?
Well, my most of my work is for other people, either filling in for performances or doing things in on different demos and recordings. I haven't done a whole lot lately. The phone hasn't rung much lately. Um, but for the record, the Bell Witch Let the Game Begin is kind of an Americana blues type or rootsy blues type thing. And it did reach, I think it was number 3 or number 4 on the international blues and roots radio charts about a month or so after it came out. But that's not actually my genre of music. I am a blues man. I play the electric blues.
Um, Remember Buddy Rich, the drummer, jazz. Buddy Rich. Yes.
Oh,
Anybody?
Buddy Rich. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. All right. So my the bass player that was in my band, his dad played horn for him. He was in the horn section. Paul Phillips was his name. And my God, he screams. He would. If you guys don't know who Buddy Rich is, Sin or Sarah, he's like this. Picture this older white guy that continues to dye his hair black, and it's obvious. And it looked like his face is kind of coming off his skin, like off the bones. He just was. He looked like a monkey, like a tin monkey. Like he just had this look. But what he would be doing is he could play. He was so unbelievable, right? But he would be cursing at like the people in the band the whole time he's playing. Like he'd be yelling like saxophone, blah, 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 and he was just like brutal. So like I compare that to oh, God damn it. There's the second jazz player that came drummer that came from the Massachusetts area. It's Krupa. Last name is Krupa. So Krupa, the other famous jazz drummer, uh, I actually coached his grandson in AAU basketball. So, so in a weird way, I have a connection. That's my Kevin Bacon jump to two of the greatest jazz drummers of all time, Buddy Rich, and I think it was something Krupa, Krupa. Can't remember the first name, but the guy I've heard the guy is incredible. So that's is
Yeah,
that
I've
it? Or
heard of him.
are you more like Elvis Presley blues, like jazz?
No, I'm more slow electric blues. Think of neon whites, bars filled with cigarette smoke and smell like beer, kind of like your
Oh,
BB King, Albert King type blues. and
I like
some of
that.
like Allman Brothers type blues and
Oh no, I
Clapton.
don't like the Allman Brothers. Don't like. Oh man, I don't like the Allman Brothers. But let me explain to you why, and we're getting to the
Why?
end of the show, so
Gosh.
I can explain.
I don't think I know who they are, so you guys do that.
That's even worse. By the way, that's even worse. Um, how do I put it this way? You ever have, and kids don't do drugs. You ever have like a bad, maybe like a bad mushroom trip or something like that? I'm just saying something like that. Could be
Allegedly.
allegedly. It's gonna be something
Yeah.
like that. And someone just keeps playing the Allman Brothers the whole time that everything goes down.
What's
So
the
the
song?
Allman Brothers. No, no, no,
I
no, no, no.
band.
They're a band. They're a band that you could play from like beginning of like CD1 to CD4, which I've learned, and it just goes. They're a jam band, but they're also a rock band. They're able to just extend stuff. Dude, they
One
play
song.
all
Rambling
night.
Man.
What's
Listen.
in?
Rambling Man.
Okay. There we go.
They're great. I'm not saying this. Don't take this as me not saying they're not good as musicians. I'm just saying that I've had a bad time with them. So I had a little moment there when you said the Allman Brothers. But I get the BB King stuff. Like in other words, it's a dirtier type of that type of jazz.
So, Sin, my kid a reaction, like if you drank way too much like Goldschlager and then you had a really bad next morning and then somebody says Goldschlager and you're like, that's what he just did to the Allman Brothers. Is that correct?
I think so. I think
Okay.
so. But I'm
Hey,
a Kenny Shepherd fan myself.
let's wait for everybody to call back 1994 to see if they remember Goldschlager. So
I know what you're talking about.
It was a good time.
We're gonna do a quick wrap up here. I appreciate you being on. We got a lot
Yes.
out of you. I want to say almost in a weird way. That's interesting. A lot of like different takes, a lot of different views of it. Merch.
No, it doesn't say merch.
And then get better penmanship. Anyways, I digress. Seriously though, I would love to have you back on again. It's very interesting to talk to you. Like I like going at it this way, the jabbing of it, the getting different information, the Tarantino-esque approach we've had so far with this story. Like we know more about the ending than the beginning. Then there's the middle that Sarah's trying to talk about, and we're trying to squeeze it in. It's getting good. So I would also like to continue this. But is there anything you'd like to plug, say, or before we wrap it up? Pat, that's you.
I've had it's been a pleasure.
Okay.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
The question was anything you want to plug, say. I'm sorry. Northeast again. I realized that I did.
Okay,
That's how we talk. What?
Have you had any speaking engagements?
Bellwitch side is I don't have anything yet. Hoping to start getting all that together really soon. Getting the word out. And again, speaking engagements are really easy to book. All somebody's got to do is just email me, and usually we can get it wrapped up in 2 or 3 emails. So, just wait for that to happen. With regards to the website, we already talked about bellwitch.org. A couple of books of interest. One is The Bell Witch, the full account. It covers the North Carolina, Tennessee, and Mississippi versions from back in the early days until more modern times, and has a whole lot of research notes, footnotes, and a lot of interesting facts about the legend that were brought to light through the research. Also, there's a book called Ghostly Cries from Dixie that I did, and it's a collection of ghostly and weird tales from around the American Southeast region. And in that, I take a historical approach to each haunted location and look at different reasons as to what makes it conducive to a haunting, and then go over evidence obtained by paranormal investigators over the years, including myself, and talk about how active or inactive a place may be. So it's like a southeastern travel guide to haunted locations and the haunted history behind them. And again, that book is called Ghostly Cries from Dixie, and that, along with The Bell Witch, the full account. Signed copies can be bought at bellwitch.org or patfitzhugh.com, and unsigned copies can be bought at most all online retailers and some bricks and mortar bookstores.
Would you be open to a la carte those books, like Pat slipping it under his pillow for one night, like extra $1.25? Hey, Pat took it for a jog, extra $1.50. Hey, Pat took this book to the beach, take a photo of you at the beach, sign that, $20 extra. And I'm being dead serious. That's how people are doing it now. What do you think, Pat? We get a deal? Kidding.
There's a lot
I'm
of
kidding.
audio difficulties, so
I'm
I
kidding.
couldn't hear you really.
Good for you, Pat.
You're better off you didn't. Sarah, what would you like to say to wrap it up?
Okay. Well, first of all, I just realized that when I go
Something
back to
about
my main
the book
name,
to the beach.
The answer is you should take the book to the beach and charge extra for that one. Like, take a photo. You made me do this again, but I'll do it. Take a photo of yourself with the book, sign it, and then be like, signed book, beach book version of the book.
just
22.50.
no, just
I'm saying a la carte it.
No, that doesn't work. People
already said that I
Yeah,
gotta be
okay.
willing to buy the
Pat, you can just tell him to shut up. It's okay.
I already
I'm not
agreed.
saying-
Didn't I say I
Yeah,
didn't agree
I'm
with
not-
myself? I'm being polite.
I'm
Sarah,
not
what would you like
famous
to
and
say?
never will be, so I can't do that.
I just-
I can't autograph one either. I can sign one, but I can't autograph it because I'm not famous. But I'll sign it.
So, wait a minute now.
Oh,
Now,
Jesus. God help us
Famous.
all. Please.
Pretty famous in my circles.
You
No,
have
I'm
signed
working on
stuff, Sin.
Say.
I sign things, yes.
Sarah, have you signed stuff for anybody?
No comment.
Unfair.
Oh,
Unfair.
there's a story there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So anyway,
All right, sorry, go ahead. Do whatever with your comment. How'd you like to wrap it up on your end?
well, first of all, I'd like to say that thank you, Pat. I am going to change my name back to my main name, which is Bell. So I will be known as the Sarah Bell Witch after that.
Oh,
Right, Sin? Because that will just be my name, and I'm a witch, so I can call myself that.
yeah. But I don't know if there's any kind of copyright thing going. I don't know.
That's my name. You can't say something. That's my name. My name was I was always Sarah Bell. I was put comma. Anyway. I forgot what I was
You better believe you did. You better believe you did after that one, Sarah Bell. Yeah, you better believe you did. Sam, what would you like to say to wrap up?
Oh, my books are all 5 of them are available on Amazon. Please, please, please check them out. And they make really good Christmas presents.
Yeah.
To wrap up, really quick, Pat, it was fun having you. I'm glad you put up with us. The only thing that I would like to promote right now is really quick. We have a show tomorrow called "Is It Legit" at 8:05.
No poop talk. Is it legit minus the poop talk?
Can't promise anything.
then.
Also on Amazon, legit Christmas stories. It's $1. They go down to $1 on the ebook. So, but I wrote Christmas stories for kids, but aimed at adults. I'm picking at adults the whole time I'm telling the stories.
Like
And
Pixar.
no, yeah, but it felt good. It was just because here's what it comes down to is, and it's kind of almost what Pat said earlier. If enough people believe in something, and they give a complete undying belief, man, you tell me a belief stronger than a kid who believes in Santa when he's like, you tell me something stronger than that, man. That power right there, if that doesn't generate a Santa somewhere, then I'm wrong. I'm wrong about everything in my life. But I know I believe if enough people believe in it, it's true.
I'm gonna sit here and wait for a bearded man to bring me gifts.
Did you ever hear the naughty and nice list? So let me do a wrap up this way. For Pat Fitzhugh, for Sarah, Paranormal, for Sin, Schrader, Hill, author, me, Mike Leopard King, Mike Ellis was legit. Paranormal brought to you by Legit podcast.com. Thank you for watching again. We will be back on tomorrow night with Is